first thing that I want to do is just let you introduce yourself and tell us something interesting about you that not many people know.
Well, my name is Fatou Sy. I'm 30 years old. Recently graduated from CSUN. A lot of people don't know that I'm Swedish and Senegalese. So I grew up in Sweden. I'm born and raised there. And my parents, like my family, is originally from Senegal, which is in West Africa. And I moved here when I was 19. I was coming to become a professional football player, not football, American football, but soccer, American college soccer. So yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I came here when I was 19 to do that, to play football in college.
Damn, that is crazy. And so how did you get into that? Let's start with that, like with soccer, with football. How like you grew up playing that initially, or did you try other sports and you just found that to be the one you liked, and then the scholarship component to it? How did all that happen?
So growing up, I liked dancing and singing. That was my main thing. I even had concerts at home, sold tickets to my family, like
Yeah.
come and watch me. And then I wanted to become a doctor because I like to help people, but I also heard they made a lot of money, but I never did that. And then when I think I was 11, just turned 11, one of my neighbors had spoken to my older brother who also played football, and they were like, yeah, you should come and try out. So me and my little sister tried out. The first practice, I fell in love. I was like, this is it. This is what I'm gonna spend the rest of my life doing. And it just went from there. And I finished high school, worked for like half a year, and then I decided to move to LA. Why I chose LA was because we have a tournament in Sweden called Gothia Cup in Gothenburg, and we played against a team from Orange County. And I was like, wow, I'm gonna move to California. So awesome, That's how I chose LA.
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
cool also that you have roots in different places of the world,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Um, how do you feel that helped you, or did you feel at a disadvantage coming from different countries and coming into LA? I mean, LA is a melting pot. There's all kinds of cultures
Hmm.
and people from different countries as well here. But how was that experience for you adapting to the LA lifestyle?
It has definitely helped me. So one, I really wanted to come here after I finished high school. So I didn't have a culture shock at all. I was like, bye, see y'all when I see y'all, kind of like that, just left. And in Sweden, especially Stockholm, we have people from everywhere, from every continent in the world. And just on my block, I grew up with a lot of different people, different cultures. I have different like bonus moms and aunties and cousins and friends. So I know a lot of different cultures and a lot of different foods. So I feel like I'm very multicultural and I speak different languages as well. So that definitely helped me move out here. I'm like being independent out here, being by myself. It definitely helped me to, gain friends or fit in, quote unquote. Not that that was my goal, but it was like, oh, it's cool. I'm good.
Yeah,
Having. Mhm.
that's awesome. That's awesome that you were able to fit in and coming from, a different country, you already had that exposure to different components of like the what LA has to offer, right? Because here, like I said, there's just so many different cultures, all kinds of people out here, and sometimes
Mhm.
that could be a culture shock, but it was a good thing that you came for a specific reason, right? And then were still able to adapt
Yeah.
and just kind of figure things out. But more specifically, I know you from school, right? We went to the same athletic training program at CSUN, and so you chose athletic training. Why? How did you go from like coming here for soccer, and then you were also interested in like becoming a doctor? So how did all that eventually turn up into you wanting to become an athletic trainer?
So, as an international student, you had to choose a major. So I saw athletic training, kind of read up on it too, and I was like, well, it goes hand in hand with being an athlete. Let me pick that route. And I was very prone to injuries, unfortunately. So when I had my injury, like the final injury back in 2014, I struggled with keeping athletic trainer as a major. And I went to the counselor and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. It was more grief than not wanting to do the profession. So I almost switched my major. And then last minute I decided, I was like, I've come this far. Let me just continue. So I ended up getting an AA first in athletic training, and then transferring to CSUN, and then applying to the program, getting on the wait list. And I was like, am I even supposed to do this? You know what I mean? And then get into the program. And it's, I want to say, one of the best decisions that I've ever made, to be an athletic trainer, because you don't really know what you get into until you're in the program. You can talk to people about it and they can share, but it's different being in it. It's amazing. I loved the program. I loved everything about the program, and it definitely, it exposes you to who you are, because it is a difficult program in the sense of you learn so much in a short period of time, but it's so much fun, and you gain friends for life, and you get to try different clinical sites and meet so many different people. Like, if you love caring for people and you like to try different things, you like to, be fast paced, this is definitely for you.
Okay. And you said that you were prone to injuries when you were playing a lot of soccer.
Mm-hmm.
So did you have exposure to athletic trainers during that time when you were an athlete? And did that kind of like plant the seed of like, oh, that looks like an interesting job as well?
Yeah, definitely. I spend a lot of time with the physical therapist and that
Yeah.
in that clinic here in the U.S. as well. I had a really good relationship with my athletic trainers. So when I told them that I was gonna do that too, they were like, "Oh, that's awesome!" I got to pick their brains a little bit. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now, so you recently graduated, right?
Mhm.
And you're an athletic trainer now. So since you don't have that much professional experience, but you've been a student for a long time, as a student, what
Mhm.
was one obstacle that you faced that you felt like you learned something from that helped you get past, the obstacle and help you get past the program and graduate and continue to pursue your dream of becoming an athletic trainer?
Um, Let me see. Just within like academics or the clinic.
Anything, anything that you felt like it was an obstacle. It was hard for you to.
Okay.
I mean, you did mention a little bit, right, that
Yeah.
you did almost quit,
Yeah.
but you kept fighting through it. So I don't know if
Yeah.
you want to go more into depth into that.
Uh, I have a specific incident actually. So my first semester, because we do clinical hours and we have a minimum hours that we have to do,
Hmm.
and we log those hours, just to keep track of everything, and then we write what we're doing just to help ourselves keep track, and also the program directors. So I had read my numbers wrong, so at the end of the semester I was out, like I was behind on hours. So that put me into an academic probation because I almost didn't pass the class. And that hit me hard, like really, really hard, because I felt I had worked really hard, and I believed that I was ahead even. I never thought that I was behind. So that academic probation really hit me hard. Also, I'm very competitive. I'm almost a perfectionist. So not having the A's or B's, that was like, oh my God. And being on probation, that hit me hard. And I had to reevaluate how I do things and how I reacted to things, and get an even stronger mentality, and come back stronger from that. I have my friends and family to help for that, definitely, but that was very, very difficult. And next semester, I even made sure even more that I have all my hours, and spoke with the program directors and make sure that everything was set. Plan ahead, and whenever I fell, I get back up. It's okay. It's part of life. It's part of the process. But it definitely made my mindset and work ethic even stronger.
Yeah, and that is huge that
Mm-hmm.
you were able to learn from that and look for
Mm-hmm.
your support system
Mm-hmm.
to help you out for the next year as well, right? Being able to involve your program director or your
Yeah.
professors in there and keep checking in on them to make sure that there was somebody else kind of paying attention to the hours that you were
Yeah.
putting in.
Yeah.
But I do think that obviously paying attention to detail is important for every profession, and for us as athletic trainers is something that kind of puts us ahead of other, let's say, athletic trainers, right? If we're the ones
Mhm.
that are able to pay attention to all those details and plan, we're
Mhm.
we're gonna be ready to help the athletes
Yep.
better. We're going to be able to provide the best care that we can. And I know that, for example, there's some schools that don't send athletic trainers when their team is traveling, just
Mhm.
because they're covering other teams at home, something like that, right? And so that's something where, like, paying attention to details and paying
Yeah.
attention to timing and all of that stuff is going to
Yeah.
help us once we're actually working as
Yeah.
athletic trainers. And that's
They.
what that's what it I mean, being a student, that's what happens, right? We make mistakes with
Yeah.
paperwork, with hours,
Yeah.
even practicing, right? Like doing modalities or doing exercises. And that's where our preceptors and professors come into play, where they are our mentors for that time, and we use them to help us. And whenever we make those mistakes, they can teach us, hey, they probably made those mistakes as well, right?
Yeah.
And then they tell us, oh, I actually did that too, but let me show
Yeah.
you how I fix that problem now. And then
Yeah.
you get the opportunity to fix that as well, right?
Yes.
But
Definitely. So
that's
right about.
yeah, that's definitely great that you were able to just make it spend more time working on that the next year, so that
Mhm.
you wouldn't make the same mistake, for sure.
Mhm. Yep.
Now, um, so now that you're transitioning, right,
Yeah.
from a student to a professional, what's something that's on your mind? What's something that you feel like you keep thinking about, or you're preparing for, now that you're going to become a working professional?
Um, it's a little scary if I would be on my own. You'd be like, okay, please, like you would pray like nothing would happen. But um, that's why we go through the program and have so many different sites and have preceptors and have our professors and you know mix the theoretical with the practical so we can be ready for those situations. And we are for first the first defense, so we gotta be ready. And I trust in my capabilities, I trust in my education. And if I do something wrong, it's just again part of life. But yeah, I keep thinking like, please don't let anything happen, because we read about injuries and stuff like that, and I'm very in tune with manifesting stuff. I was like, how am I preventing manifesting something to happen, but being ready if it happens? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's something that I keep thinking about. When I was like, no, this is just part of the profession. It's all good, But being ready, and know that we have more responsibility now that we are certified.
Right. And that's
Hmm.
huge. And that's where also, again, when we're students, our preceptors being able to put us in that position where we're making critical decisions, and where we have some responsibility to make sure that we're making the right moves, the right calls. That way, when we are on our own,
Yeah.
once we're graduated and we have our certification and license, we have some confidence built
Ex-
in from those experiences,
mhm.
right? So that's definitely a hard part once we're on our own. But
Yeah.
like you said, it is part of the job, right? We have to
Yeah.
be ready for those crazy scenarios, those
Yeah.
emergency situations, and trust that the things that we learn in the classroom and from
Hmm.
our professors and from our preceptors and our sites, that all that information is in our head. And now when it
Yeah.
happens, we just have to kind of slow down and just think through
Yes.
it, and figure out what's the best thing that we can do to help this athlete or this patient out.
Yep.
uh,
Exactly. Yeah.
but yeah, I think that's one of the things that attracted me to athletic training,
Mhm.
that responsibility and that opportunity that we get as athletic trainers to be there on those bad situations, and
Mhm.
be the one to to help those people, right? We're
Yeah.
making the decisions if we need to call 911, if we
Mm.
need to start CPR, if we need to do anything like that. That's us,
Yes. Exactly.
for
Yeah.
sure. Okay. And so So one thing that I like to ask, and this
Yeah.
is just more to I guess just like help whoever would be interested in this field get an idea of like what some bad experiences are, right? As students or in the athletic training field, like what's one bad experience that you feel like you've had and that you learned from that?
Within athletic training,
Yeah.
uh, bad experience. I wouldn't say a bad experience per se, but one of the most difficult things to deal with, I think, as any healthcare provider, is when someone comes to you and they have an injury and you do an evaluation, you do everything in the textbook, and you can't figure out what's wrong. You'd be like, okay, now we just, I'm the type of person, I don't like to treat the symptom. I like to find out, the origin of the cause of the injury or what is going on. So not knowing that can be frustrating. So you just have to do kind of the shotgun approach, try everything and, just patch them up and continue treating them as you go. And hopefully you'll find out eventually what's wrong with them. But I would say that that's probably one of the things. Thankfully, I haven't had a bad experience yet. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I agree with you too with that. It's hard when we do our evaluation and
Yeah.
we can't pinpoint,
Yeah.
what the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that's also where we need to be able to like use our resources, right? We can reach out to other colleagues that we have if we
Yeah.
are working within a staff that where we have access to the doctor, obviously, and we have
Mhm.
access to um, other like sports dietitians or sports psychologists, like being able to communicate with them and look for other resources that may be able to help us find like the actual problem, and
Yeah.
then obviously sending them to get an X-ray, MRI, and
Yeah.
anything
All of that.
else, any other test that would be helpful to pinpoint what the issue is. But I do think that kind of like what you're saying with the shotgun approach, it's just like, well, we don't want to rely on that. We want to be able to, be focused on our evaluation as much as
Mhm.
possible. But when that initial evaluation doesn't work, then we do
Mhm.
have to look to other tests that
Exactly.
maybe aren't so specific to the area to
Yeah.
try and figure out, okay,
Yeah.
maybe it's something different, right?
Yeah, because everything isn't textbook.
Mhm.
And I like how you said like the sports psychology. What I learned also is that sometimes it's not physical. It can be something mental or spiritual going on. And if we only focus on the physical all the time, we can miss it because we're a whole person. So we need to look at the person as a whole and figure that out.
Yeah.
Every time, but especially when we can't figure out what it is that's going on.
Yeah, exactly. And the holistic approach in the sense that
Exactly.
you're looking at people as a whole person. We're not
Mhm.
just focusing on the pain. We're also thinking about, okay, we're mentally, how are you feeling? Like has this been stressing you out for
Yeah.
a long time? And do you feel like it's been getting worse because you've been more stressed? And sometimes, it's like you said, it's not just physical, there's some other components. Maybe they're
Mhm.
not eating,
Exactly.
their food changed in the last month, and so that's been affecting them in some way, and they didn't connect it. And then but you're
Mhm.
asking those right questions, or you're reaching out to the sports dietitian to see if they have any input on that.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Definitely. All right. And so for you, what is one of your favorite activities, now that we already know that you like soccer, right? But is that something that you're still doing, or are you now like doing a different sport, a different activity? Are you playing video games? What's an activity that you like to do now, and why?
It's still football. It's still
Okay.
football for life. I haven't played in a long time, but when I do have the chance, I just like to go out and juggle and run around with the ball. Um, and that's something that I still want to continue doing. Like I'm strengthening my body more and more, so I can be able to do that, and hopefully I can play on a team one day again. But other than that, I love hiking. I love being out in nature, going to the beach, swimming, but working out in general, that's probably the the best thing for me in general. I'm just like, I love working out. Any
Yeah.
type of workout is awesome, but yeah, being out in nature, definitely.
Yeah, no, and I grew up playing football in Guatemala as well. And
Oh, nice.
you know, for me the thing was that when I came to the US when I was 9, I found out about a bunch of different sports. I found out about, you know, football and American football
Mm.
and basketball and baseball, and I just started playing all of these different sports, and I fell in love with basketball. And so
Oh,
I
okay.
still played soccer all the time. I even like got in the soccer team
Mm-hmm.
when I was in high school, but basketball was still a sport that I played every single day, no matter what, with my friends.
Yeah.
But you know, football, yeah, football is it's always been an easy sport to play as well. Like you can, like you said, like you can juggle the ball by yourself. You don't need to have anybody else with you.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's a fun sport, right? And everybody
Yeah.
in the world plays soccer or
Yep.
football.
Fun sport.
Definitely. All right, so those were the main questions. We're gonna take a quick break, and then when we come back, I'll just ask you some quick sprint questions just to get to know you a little bit better.
Absolutely.
We're back, and so the first question, the sprint question that I have for you is, what is one book that you've read that has had a big impact on you?
Mm. The Power of the Now by Eckhart Tolle is probably, yeah, that's the book that I can think of that really changed my perspective and my mindset completely. So as people, we like to dwell on the past a lot, or we're stressing about the future. And in the book, I remember an instant it asked, in this present moment, what problems do you have? What obstacles are you trying to overcome? And I was like, at this particular moment, sitting here reading the book, I don't have any problems. And the book is like, well, I rest my case. You just gotta stay in the moment, be in the now all the time. You know, you gotta plan ahead for the future, and you know, you learn from the past, but why stress about it when now is the only thing that we have? And
Hmm.
that's one of the books that, you know, completely blew me away. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, that's great thinking for sure because
Mhm.
it allows you to enjoy life as much as you can, right? Sometimes we get trapped in the past and thinking, oh, I should have done this. And then
Mm-hmm.
also we spend too much time in the future. It's just like we can't wait to get there. But then if
Mm-hmm.
we do that, then we're forgetting about, hey, I'm here. You know, it's the present. I need to
Yeah,
enjoy what I'm
yeah,
doing and the people that I'm with. And obviously if there's something you don't like about what you're doing now, you can change it, you know, like
yeah,
you don't have to keep doing it if you don't feel good about it.
absolutely.
Nice. I like that. I like that. That's a good book. All right, so another question for you. What are you currently obsessed with? What are you spending like crazy amounts of time doing right now?
Right now. I'm learning about investing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm learning about trading. I learned about investing, about digital currency.
Yeah.
So that's really fun. That's something I'm interested in. And, you know, money is not the end all be all, but, you know, we need it. We all need it. So being able to create multiple streams of income, because athletic training is my passion. I love helping people. But if I can do even more with my life and create more, then that's something that I want to do. So that's what I'm learning now.
No, I think that especially right now with like so much uncertainty that's going on in the future, you know, with COVID, it's just
Yeah.
like uh, jobs are changing, the way we live our life is changing, and I think
Mhm.
one of the things that's out there that people can invest their time learning
Yeah.
in and can become successful in is
Yeah.
investing. And I
Yes.
think for the most part, I don't see too many people of color talking about this, right?
Mhm.
I don't see them talking about like the benefits of getting into investing. And I think part of that is
Mhm.
because you you almost feel like you never have enough money to start investing. Like you need
Right.
to have thousands or millions of dollars
Right.
to like actually start investing. But
Yeah.
I think it's important to at least know the game and start
Yeah.
learning about it, and so that way when you start accumulating some wealth, you know, when you can have some extra money on the side, you can play with that and throw it in there and take a risk, and hopefully, if you're smart, if you're learning, then you can reduce that risk so that you're always profiting, and then you can
Absolutely.
reinvest that money, right? So I'm with you. I started learning about it a few months ago as well. Just because I've always been curious about it. I've always thought it was interesting,
Yeah.
and now having access to like the Robinhood app, and it being easy to like look at options and buying
Hmm. Hmm.
different shares. I thought, let me just learn about it and let me see if
Yeah.
I can try it out as well. So that's cool that you're getting into that.
Absolutely.
What made
Absolutely.
what made you get into that?
It was a friend of mine who posted something last year on their Instagram. And I was like, yo, what's going on? Tell me more about it. And I got plugged in, kind of poked at it a little bit, thought I was serious, but not really. And me personally, I grew up with a very limited mindset when it came to money, and didn't really know. Like, have you heard of Robert Kiyosaki? He
Yeah,
talks about,
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
yeah. So that's another one of my favorite books. So getting exposed to that book and learning how the money is kind of distributed, and who's owning the money and who's doing what, it almost made me mad. Like, why don't we learn about this in school? So that made me even more interested in it. And like you said, people of color, that's one of my missions too, to create generational wealth and also generational health. Both, I think they go hand in hand, because when you have more money, you have more options and you have more peace of mind. Yes, you're always like hungry, 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 but I would rather be hungry for more money than to be hungry and not have money. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's what I want to do, and retire my mom, and travel, and invest in communities. I always had huge dreams. So when this came to me, I was like, wow, I've literally prayed for this. So I'm part of a community of investors who, we all work together. We all eat every single day, motivate each other and teach each other. So our mission is to just spread financial wealth. So
Wow,
that's, yeah.
that's impressive. I like that. I like that. I mean, there's so much to unpack in what you just said, but the two words that are huge are generational wealth and
Yeah.
generational health. Like
Yeah.
I've talked about generational wealth with my family and my sisters, and talking to them about, just like when we have kids, I hope that we have a house and that we have money saved so that our kids can start with something, they can
Yeah.
inherit something, and it's a little bit easier for them, and they can continue to build on that generational wealth. But generational health, that's new. I have not heard that. That is crazy. That's really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
But it makes
Yeah.
sense. It makes sense because in general, if you don't have the health
Mm-hmm.
to be active, to
Mm-hmm.
be able to take care of yourself, like
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna struggle. You're gonna always be in pain, physical pain, and even just financially struggling, because you constantly have to be in hospitals and buying
Mm-hmm.
drugs and all of that. So
Yeah.
generational health, that's huge.
Because we read about it in our profession all the time, diseases that are genetic or that are not genetic. Like, how can we lower those numbers?
Hmm.
How can we prevent it? How can we educate people? That's what I want to do, because I went to school. Yes, I paid for it, but I'm more than happy to share all the knowledge that I have, so we can help more people, because it shouldn't be the way it is. You know what I mean? Both with health and wealth. Financial literacy as is very important, but also literacy when it comes to health. So both of them, combine them and golden. you
Yeah,
know.
I agree with you so much. One, I don't know if you remember, but like 2 years ago, the kinesiology department had a contest going on where you can create an idea for like an app and bring it to them, and then they would choose which one was the best one, and
I think I remember. Yeah,
they would
yeah,
give you $1,000 to start making your idea come true. and
yeah.
and so for me, I was in that same mentality where you are, where like, um, people don't know too much about their bodies and health, right?
Mm-hmm.
In high school, we don't. We have PE classes,
Mm-hmm.
and we have obviously the science classes like chemistry and physics and biology.
Mm-hmm.
But anatomy, at least in my school, we didn't have anatomy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, physiology, I don't remember that. And
Me too.
and so for me, it's just like that's the starting point, like knowing what's in your body, anatomy, right? Like
Good.
your bones, your muscles,
Wow.
your organs. And to me, it's just like that's so basic. You should be learning that in elementary school, in middle
Yeah.
school, in high school, right? So that when you are out of high school, you know everything about your body. And when you go to the
Yeah.
doctor, and when they're touching your knee and they say, "Oh,
Yeah.
your patella, you know, or your meniscus is the thing that's bothering you," then you
Yeah.
know what that is. But a lot of the time, I feel like people don't know what that is, and they're just like, "Okay, doc said it's my meniscus,"
Yeah.
right?
Just accepting.
Accepting
Yeah.
because they don't really know in depth of what that means. So,
Yeah.
anyways, I I wanted the idea that I had is called My Bod, and it's basically an app, an educational app that teaches you anatomy. It's kind of like a Duolingo, but for anatomy. It's like a
Okay.
gamification of
Yeah.
anatomy. I lost the contest, but I created it. You know what I mean?
Man,
Like
I was waiting for you to tell me you won. I was like,
no, no, I lost the contest, but I still have like the mock-up for the app. I still have like the PowerPoint that I presented. Like I still
wow,
have that idea. I still would like to try it and make that come true, just because.
don't try, do it.
Exactly. It's just gonna take some time. You know, I just need the money to like input it, or learn how to code and learn how to make the app so that I
Okay.
can make it come to life, right? So I definitely still have that mentality of I want to make this come to life. But
Yeah.
but anyways, that comes back to the point of like generational health
Right. Yeah.
and me wanting to teach kids, you know, about their body through an app and
Absolutely.
teach them anatomy when they're young.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. That's awesome that you're thinking about that stuff. All right, and then the last question for you. What is your favorite food?
My favorite food. I love food just in general.
Okay.
If I had to choose, it's pancakes. I know it sounds pancakes
Pancakes, okay.
are the best. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Eat them for breakfast, lunch, dinner. If you don't want to eat it as dessert, you can make a crepe. It's yeah. I pancakes is that's my gem.
Awesome. I love pancakes too. And I like mixing it up and throwing like chocolate chips and strawberries and all that stuff in there.
Yes.
For
Uh,
sure.
uh,
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you, Fatu. I really appreciate your time and sharing your story. And the last thing that I want to do is just give you the platform and just let you share a message, anything that you live by, any phrase that motivates you, anything that you want to say to our listeners.
mm. Well, I would say live in the now. Live and let live. Live your life. Let other people's live theirs. Learn from the past. Live in the present while you manifest a better future for yourself and your family, for this world, for this universe, for this planet. You know, be you.
Perfect. I love it. Awesome. Cool. Thank you. And if any of our listeners who want to get in touch with you, what's a good way for them to find you online?
I have two Instagrams. One is Fatou with 4 A's, so it's FAAAATOU, and then another is Fatou Sy Mindset. I have a Facebook, Fatou Sy, and I also I'm on YouTube under Faith Enterprises.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks again.
Thanks
We'll
for having me.
definitely, yeah, definitely. We'll stay in touch and we'll have you again another time for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you. My pleasure.